What's up, everybody? This is Hush, aka How You Stop Him, aka No Noise, aka Voice of Reason, and it's another edition of Tell It How It Is, No Filter. It's episode 139. Yes, I am here. I'm back again. Current events is light. Big Daddy Kane versus KRS-One. That's probably over some heads. You know, if you're not an 80s baby or older, you may not even know nothing about that. For us 80s babies and older, as I said, that was something very monumental. Dope. One of my colleagues in music, that's like a brother, his favorite artist is Big Daddy Kane, so shout to that. Kane has definitely influenced me as well as KRS-One, so it's not even much to tell. Like, they should speak for itself. So that was definitely dope. The thing about YouTube, whenever you miss things, you can go back and see. So Versus is on YouTube. You can go get some culture for you youngins that think y'all know music. That's the real music from where the essence and it all began. You know what I'm saying? So check that out for sure. I read somewhere that Solange and Jay Z finally, spoke and got their piece. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all remember the incident with Solange and Jay in the elevator. You know, Solange was basically defending her sister as they claim, and really going off on him based on how he was treating Beyonce at the time. So Solange and Jay, hashed it out finally, allegedly, and hopefully that's dope. A little bit older in the news, Drake had an issue with his character on Degrassi. If you don't know, you should know that before Drake was Drake, he was on a show called Degrassi. You know what I'm saying? The issue he had is there was an accident where he was placed in a wheelchair in the show, and he was going to remain in a wheelchair. And he didn't like that because something about his fans or whoever won't look at him as manly and strong if he's in a wheelchair. So he almost, reneged and not film anymore unless they would have took him out the wheelchair, made him recover and walk again. But after a sit down, they seem to have gotten to the bottom of it, and he wound up doing 2 more seasons in the wheelchair. There was something else. The regular sports shit, I think baseball is down to 4 teams now. Boston, Houston, Dodgers, Braves, I believe. So we're going to get a World Series very soon. Shout out to Chicago Sky winning their first Wnba title with Candace Parker on there. Now I can joke around and say that's a ringer. So of course they won, you know what I mean? So shout out to them. That's dope. The WNBA don't get a lot of attention, but they should. Sports and competitive nature, if that's what you like to see, it goes down. You know what I mean? Of course, at a female's level, but it's still dope. That you people, you guys that think you know basketball, these women probably embarrass you out there. You feel me? So take heed to that. The NBA season begins this week. Yes, we're getting ready for that. Football is football. Is getting into the middle. It's not even mid-season. It's still only week 6. Week 6. Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has Brady. So the Bucks and the Ravens are doing wonderfully. So I got those two as the teams to watch. The Cardinals are undefeated, though, quietly, to my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they undefeated, but it's quiet. So I don't know. You know how there's those teams that they do their damn thing in the season and they make these records, and then when the time for crunch time, I'm not saying that's gonna be Arizona. Let's just see what happens. Cool. Um, I think that's all I have for you is current events. Like I said, it's been pretty quiet. I'm thinking, but I think I touched everything. Oh, I'm glad I stopped for a second. Happy belated to Eminem, aka Marshall Mathers, aka Slim Shady. I must shout that. As a person that does music, he's definitely hugely influenced in my writing, my aggressiveness. He just plays a role hugely in that. So I definitely wanted to shout him for his G Day and happy belated. Hope all is well on your side, Marshall Mathers. I fucks with you. Um, hmm. Let's go right in then. Okay. I want to start somewhere else with it. You know how when we grew up, right, as kids, for each generation, there was a behavior problem at some point, right? How we handle it as parents has changed generation to generation. My memory is not that good to know when I was a child what behavior issues I gave and what was the strategy to either get me back on the right track or feel the wrath, as they say. So I don't really remember that. So now, when you're a kid that's grown now, you have kids. This is a complex thing because, like I said, generation to generation, it changes, right? So there's comedians and even amongst our own peoples, we've joked and said, back in the day, you get your ass beat. Like they would tear you up, damn near kill you if you was out of line. Today is less force. It's saying, you can't be as physical. I don't know. You see, the kids today, they need that more than we needed it. Because I think because we as kids, when we were kids, we knew what time it was. So even if we got out of line, it was very calculated and limited. It had to be worth it because we know we was getting torn up. Today, it's not happening that way. They are taking more chances because of the lack of the fear of getting torn up. You know what I mean? So I don't really. I have to go to school for this because I know there's some viewers that may watch this and go, "Yeah, tell me how to deal with that." When kids are out of line today, they're rebellious or whatever has them bugging out. I guess what the intellectual people would advise is them seek help. Take them to a therapist, some type of program of the sort, and have them talk out their issues, whatever issues those might be. The thing is, it's sad and I need more help with this, honestly, not even being funny, but I'm going to touch on it a little. So, my opinion and my view, when you take them to this therapist or to a program to speak to someone, if the issues are really there and they're big and there's something really wrong, I feel like the therapists and the programs are dope. That's exactly what they needed. And Now it's about picking the right people, paying attention to who they have as a counselor or therapist or whatever to see if they can handle that weight. Otherwise, you'll be swapping out and seeing, getting some better help. But I'm not wishing that on any kids of today. But if that is the issue, that's dope. You lucked out in a way because we get into the issue. For the kids that's just feeling themselves, just acting out, they may need to talk to somebody as well, but that's not the solution alone. Because, sorry to say, the less of a problem means more of a problem. So if they're not really disturbed or that much gone, yeah, the talking to somebody helps, but this is just regular shit because some kids just go through regular shit that's just still out of line. And again, with the lack of discipline these days, it ain't setting them straight because some just need, I'm sorry to say, some just need a real whipping, toe up, as I said, and they'll get it. You know what I mean? So to be able to separate and know the difference between your child really, really having an issue versus they just acting up, that's where you're going to have to pick and choose and really pay attention and analyze. You know what I mean? How repetitive this is, how often it happens. But everybody's most likely and everyone is going to begin with the first steps of saying therapist, therapy, program, counselor, something of the sort. No matter what, you begin there. How do I feel about that? I guess, like I said, you can't really use me as an example or go off of my opinion unless you grew up in the same time frame that I grew up, you grew up, because again, a lot of it is just the fear. You know what I mean? You're not even in the whole world. It says sometimes it's better to be feared than respected, or feared than loved. Maybe not the respect thing. The fear to love, those two. Sometimes it's better to be feared than loved because there's just certain lines you won't cross. The thing with the world today is that fear gets taken advantage of. So the fear that we were referring to back in the day was not the fear that we take advantage of people or hurt people or really harm our kids per se, but the fear of don't try me. That's all. It's just like, I guess it kind of ties in with respect, because if you have the fear and the respect, just don't try me. That's it. It's not about what's going to happen if you do. Let's see if you really, nowadays people want to really test you to see. And it ain't got shit to do with weapons or none of that. I meant just don't, you know what I mean? When you really knew not to fuck with somebody. So when you have that, things go a lot smoother. Shit's still going to look. Out of line is out of line. Shit's still going to happen. It's not a perfect world. You feel me? But that fear factor, especially with parents with the kids back in the days, even trying to trickle down to now a little bit, I see it. That set is straight. So even if, the kids got out of line, a look, a verb or two, and shit went back to how it was or supposed to be. So that's not happening these days. Again, we're just running to therapists and counselors and whatever. So on the safe side of things, I guess you can use that strategy, and hopefully that works out. But to be a little more confident for you, to feel like there's hope, you can combine the therapy and start thinking about that fear factor again. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if you wasn't doing it all of this time, you can't come on too strong. But sometimes desperate times is desperate measures. So maybe you got to just come on strong even though they've never recognized it before. But you see that? I don't want to point blame because you can't really go through the raising of the kids without hitting that point before it hits that point. There's a time where you just have to instill certain shit if possible to just kind of prevent or foresee that when they get to that point, you already kind of like squared it a little bit. So they're going to still try you, but with caution versus just been living freely because they good. And you know what? I'll step away from that and just pray for, that you don't need anything but therapy, counseling, and that fear factor, that it factor. Talk to somebody that's an 80s baby or older about that if you don't understand what I'm saying. But on another thing, it don't really be the kids though. It be, I'm sorry to point fingers here. It be the kids that they around, that they hang around, see, be around. School is very like touch and go because they need education, but then the schools have, which I don't know if there was a survey or vote on this, and it doesn't make it a bad thing. The schools have different level kids, so there's like the smart nerdy kids that behave mostly. There's the average grade kid that still behaves pretty decent. There's the average grade kid that acts up. Then there's the below average kids who just are monsters. There's not too many bright kids that's nerdy that are monsters. Some may, be a little silly with it, but so that mixture, right? So when your kid goes into that mixture, that's the influence. You know what I'm saying? What goes on around while they out the house. Then there's nothing you can do about that. Which is why some of the things you should have laid down from the gate. I'm not getting on you. I'm just trying to tell you, if from the gate you establish certain shit, they still gonna be smelling themselves. The influence of the kids they're around still gonna happen, but they may approach it in a different type of light. Like, that's cool, but the fear factor is that strong that I could wait on being cool until, I could hold myself down. So again, I'll just close on that subject with, hopefully you don't need it, but the therapy and the counseling, but it's about who's selected. Hopefully, if there's some religion in the house and y'all go to church and stuff, you can use the pastor. Like, that's if you've been going. I would look at a new pastor like a new therapist. You feel me? No disrespect to the Lord, worshipers and followers or whatever. But if I haven't been going to that church or dealing with that pastor for 10 odd years or 5+, I don't want my kid to talk to them per se. Whatever. That's your discretion. So hopefully we get these kids right. And, it's a short setback. It's nothing to really panic about. But once again, the fear factor. And this you can't beat your kids crap is just, man, if they need a whipping sometimes, they need a whipping sometimes. You know what I mean? So that's that on that. I'll go into the because I had a couple things. I be having things I want to address that turn this whole shit to like 2 hours. But, there's different judgments on podcasts and how long they should be and how many people is the limit and all of these other like hidden rules. I feel like your podcast is your diary, is your way to vent, your way to release. So you do what you want. Yeah, a 5-minute podcast makes no sense maybe. But I'm still not judging, like whatever. But 5 minutes, that's ridiculous. But if you are by yourself, as I am right now, I think you can pick any time you want when you dolo, So roughly, you can go, if you feel you could carry the audience and keep carry the attention and keep the audience for 2 hours by yourself, dope. I'm never doing a 2-hour pod by myself. To say never is crazy. I'm talking about from this juncture, I'm never doing a pod by myself for 2 hours. If I'm getting paid to do the 2-hour pod by myself, the numbers is right. I'm fucking talking. Because I always have it. I can go, I don't know, I won't say 2 hours, but I can go an hour and a half for sure. I can build up enough to do that. I just be cutting it short because it's only me. And even I get tired of hearing my voice. Nobody's chiming in. There's no interaction. You know what I'm saying? Not to be funny. I love this shit, and I could do it every week, as I have. I could do it twice a week, 3 times a week. It's never inconvenience. But by myself, I try to keep it to the point. So, in relationships, which we always come across, don't we? There's always some type of angle to address and have opinions on when having a relationship. So, and this is any relationship. Remember, I'm politically correct. Things that bother you, right? Like, there's not this, again, it's not a perfect world. Some people are in denial, and that gets judged and scrutinized because you're not supposed to not voice your shit at all. You're not supposed to just take anything. You're not supposed to just get walked all over on, right? So yeah, you definitely have to speak up sometimes for yourself. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm just saying that was just put out there for the people who don't speak at all. What I'm saying is the people who are a little more vocal, little more aggressive and outspoken, you gotta draw the line on certain shit that bothers you. If you're in it for the long haul, if this is your lifelong partner in your eyes, and you're going all the way. I think I spoke similar on this before, something scratching the same surfaces, but anyway, pick and choose. Okay, so if there's something, you gotta look at it like, if something bothers you, right? Let's say you were by yourself. You wasn't in a relationship. And you, I don't know, you went grocery shopping and there was traffic going there and they didn't have half the stuff you went for. There's this shit that's just irking you and just ugh. You need a moment. You need to breathe for a second, right? If you wasn't in a relationship, you'd have to eat that, right? There probably could be somebody you call and vent and go, yo, the fucking day I had, right? I just had a... The point is, even if I got a little off subject, in a relationship, you got to do a lot of analyzing, reading, and understanding of your partner to know that if they have something going on that bothers them, whether they bring it to you or not, and now something happens in your day that you could kind of say, all right, I had a bad day, fine. I could eat that. Like, it's not the end of the world. What I'm trying to get at is, like, the devil is busy. So if he attacks one and he got him, and they in a bag now, they feel real devilish because of certain shit that's happened, or they could snap at any second. And then you take the partner and they get got in that same shit. That's just a recipe for disaster. What I'm saying is both parties having a not so pleasant day and they bringing that energy, it could clash. Unless you're just mindful of all of these things I'm saying and you're very intellectual and you know how to take the emotions out no matter what, and you're just addressing it in a venting type of stage and it doesn't really affect your normal reaction to things. Am I getting too intellectual here? So, again, pick and choose. You know, even if your partner's not in a bad mood and they had a great day, it's even the same, I say the same approach. So if they had a terrible day and they going through their own shit, you kind of curve it. And I'm talking more of the dominant person in the relationship. Again, I'm politically correct. So whoever's like considered the dominant one, you figure that out, what I mean by that. So I'm really talking to them because the emotional, because there's always a dominant partner, an emotional partner, play the back seat sometimes partner. Everybody, it's a tambourine, like Chris Rock said, you play the tambourine sometimes and sometimes you lead. But anyway, on the more aggressive note, again, of that side of the relationship, the aggressor, the breadwinner, the one who wears the pants, whoever's the lead, put things to the side. You'll know. One good test, boom, here you go. One good test is if there's something that bothered you that you didn't speak of. Let's say it happened Saturday. And when I say things bother you, it don't have to be within the relationship. It could be within, it could be outside of it. But take this strategy. The day it happened, let's say it was Saturday, and today is Tuesday. If you're still thinking about it, if it still affects you somehow, some way, then that might be too late to address it, but you then can look to see where you can speak on it. Because obviously it's bigger than I thought. And then my whole strategy of what I'm trying to tell you now goes out the window. So if you're able to foresee that before it gets to Tuesday, then maybe you just gotta address it and it comes out however. And God forbid you and your partner do bump heads over the different moods that are both not good. Y'all be all right. But if you can avoid it, again, now let's say you take something that bothered you Saturday and it's Tuesday and you've forgotten about it. Then my strategy works. Go voice a reason. But that's the point. If it can just wither away on its own, you could shrug it off, or you don't even think about it once you sleep and wake back up, then that was good to let that go and not even bring it up. This is easier said than done, and today I had a difficult sitting with you guys because both subjects with the rebellious kids and the kids acting up and this is not something simple to tackle. Nor am I like the prophet where what I say goes and you're done. The kid thing was a kid thing. This is just steps to trying to like, prevention is the word I'm using here. So there's no perfect world. I keep saying I can't stress that enough. You know, couples have disagreements, arguments, not so much arguments. You don't really want to promote that. You don't really want to promote that, but you want to be aware that it's possible to avoid these things. You know what I mean? If you can. But there's no thing that could get you through everything for sure. But if you could let some things go, try to. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? So if you are mindful and try to use that and say, I can not flip about everything that bothers me, even with a perfect partner that you think is perfect, that understands and listens and hears you out, you know, some things you just gotta just say, all right, I'ma just chill. You know what I mean? So if you're able to do that, it's just dope. That's all. And that was my point of the whole thing. Back to the people who let everything slide. This is not what I mean. You know, there's just some shit you gonna have to talk about. There's some shit you gonna have to get out. There's some things you gotta talk on. You know what I mean? So I never meant to become that. So if you're mild-mannered and you already have like what I'm saying going on, some things you don't say, some things you do, then this wasn't for you to change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, so there are some people who are already like that they have the mild mannerism. And that's the point, you know? So you need to come on here and tell me and my viewers how you do it. Nah, but all jokes aside, that'd be dope. But for the people who are too aggressive, speak on everything that bothers them, that's just too much bad vibe, negative energy to let consume you. So that's why I said some things just see, because you know I'm right. You know there's some things that the next day you don't give a fuck about. So there's no need. Just chill out and say, all right, I'm going to eat that one. You know what I mean? And pick and choose. And then that's dope if both partners are using this strategy, because there's a chance that one is not. And you'll still survive. So in a partnership, if one is always, I'm speaking everything that bothers me, even if they don't speak it, their behavior, their vibe shows in everything that bothers them. Yet the other partner is mild-mannered. Y'all should be all right. Y'all should be all right. It shouldn't bump heads, almost never, but you will maybe sometimes. If both parties are mild-mannered, that's the best relationship, I think. Because you can still bump heads and then it gets tricky because of the lack of bumping of the heads or any kind of disagreement that's so rare that it may be a big blow up because it's like once a year or whatever. But y'all should still be all right. It may get, but y'all got to look at it like, look, breathe. This not us. We may disagree or have this once in a millennium. Let's not let it consume us. Let it not take over like that because of the rarity of it. So you still got to coach yourself through. So my apologies for thinking that both mild-mannered is flawless. They're not. I'm just saying I hope they can just look at it like because of how seldom that happens, you shouldn't let it take over. But I still rather that big blow up once in a blue than people who are going at it once a month, every 2 weeks, because none of them is mild-mannered. So somebody has to be mild-mannered, I still say, regardless of what. And take that mild-mannered person and give them the trophy because that's a hard job. But it's effective and it should get you through. You know what I'm saying? Any comments, any opinions or views on this, hit me up on IG as How You Stop Him. You know, my YouTube channel is Voice of Reason NF. And until next time, y'all be safe. I holla.